Now, I find this to be quite interesting because we just got Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sonic is doing very well in the box office, which kind of makes me wonder exactly if this survey is very accurate or not. But anyway, I wanted to kind of go over this because I think there's a lot to be said here about the direction that Hollywood is continuing to go in with video game adaptations. So let's go ahead and get into it. So survey confirms people don't really want video game movies. Live-action movie adaptations of video games like Super Mario Bros. And Pac-Man generated interest in less than half of U.S. adults, a survey finds, which we kind of got a Pac-Man movie already with Pixels or whatever that movie, that awful movie was that I tried to erase from my memory. But yeah, so American audiences are not all that interested in live-action video game adaptations of properties like Super Mario Bros., Pac-Man, and Mario Kart, according to a poll conducted among U.S. adults. This may come as a surprise to those who, following the momentum of Sonic the Hedgehog, the Blue Speedster saw the biggest opening for a video game film after production famously delayed its release and redesigned the CGI for Sonic after fan outcry, which obviously has a huge impact into why the movie is doing so well, why Sonic is doing so well. I think that people appreciate the fact that someone from Hollywood actually listened to the fans, which is just like such a shocking novelty nowadays when it comes to Hollywood. But I think that that obviously played into some reason for why Sonic did so well. I don't think that Sonic would be anywhere near as successful as it is right now if they kept the original design. We're just like, screw the fans and release the film. I don't think that that Sonic would be doing anywhere near as well as it is. So obviously, that had something to do with why the film is doing very good. But even 2019's live-action Detective Pikachu performed relatively well, which it did, holding the record of best opening weekend box office for a video game movie until Sonic debuted, although the more recent animated Pokemon film from Netflix was a disappointment, which I really have no interest in seeing that. However, these films' main audiences were children, and the poll collected data from adults. These films' main audiences were children in the... Okay, so the poll collected data from adults, not kids, which maybe it would be a little bit different if it was for kids. So, The Hollywood Reporter and the polling data company Morning Consult conducted the poll gauging interest in live-action adaptations of video games among 2,200 adults in the U.S. That's not that many adults, really. The survey showed the potential films had less than 50% interest from adults who were very or somewhat interested. Super Mario Bros. Led the poll with 44% of responders, followed by a tie of 37%. Okay, so I think that this poll really probably isn't the best way to represent this, because obviously if you just say, hey, what do you think about a Super Mario Bros. Movie? And people are like, okay, well, let's take a look at the current situation in Hollywood. Nah, fam, I'm good. That's probably the most response. That's probably the general response from people. But let's say that they said, what do you think about a Super Mario Bros. Movie? But it's, has this plot line, and they list the plot line, and it's made by the same studio that made Sonic the Hedgehog. Then people would actually probably be like, okay, you know what? I'd actually watch that, because now Paramount is in a place right now where they have at least some respect from the audiences because of the way that they handled Sonic the Hedgehog. So, with that being said, there's a lot of variations into all of this. There's a lot of things that can play into the success of a movie or the downfall of a movie. I think the fact that movies like Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog have been trying to do different takes on their video game properties, and not really just trying to do a paint by numbers adaptation of the video game, but rather trying to put their own twist on it. I think that is really helping with the success of these films as well. That's why I think Detective Pikachu was such a success, was because it wasn't really just about Ash and Ash Ketchum and the others, and they're catching Pokemon and all that type of stuff. They kind of put their own twist on it, and I think that really worked in the favor of the movie, which I've been saying before. It's really hard for video game movies to be successful because you're literally just taking something from another visual medium and adapting it into a film format. And I just don't think that really works. I don't think that people really want that, especially when it comes to video games that are already very good cinematic video games. So if they're going to continue to do this, they need to continue to figure out ways how to do something different with those video game properties, either following those characters but doing a different story based on those characters from the video games, or just kind of doing a film that's set in the same universe as those video games as well. I think if they do that, they'll be a lot more successful, and maybe it'll be a little bit different when it comes to some of these things like Donkey Kong and Mario Kart and stuff. Like, you know, those are, there's a lot more freedom into what you can do with those types of things as well. But I think the fact that if studios that will actually, you know, respect their fan base, they'll probably be a lot more successful as well, as we saw with Sonic the Hedgehog. So, and 2,200 adults really isn't that many, so I don't really know where they're getting that from. But since the poll gauged interest in potential adaptations, it excluded the possible animated Super Mario movie being developed by Nintendo and Illumination, the animation studio behind the Despicable Me franchise. Which, I don't know how I feel about that, man. I really don't know how I feel about that. It really just depends on how Illumination handles it. If Nintendo is directly involved with it, there might be a chance for it to be better. But I think that audiences are just getting more smarter and are realizing, hey, you know, more information about these movies would be better than less information for us to decide how we're going to respond to them and stuff. And I'm glad that people are actually getting to that point where they want to find out more about these video game movie adaptations before they actually decide if they want to go see them or not. And I hope that people continue to do more research into movies that Hollywood is giving us before they go see them, because we need to really start speaking more with our wallets than we are and deciding which movies we want to go support in the theater or not, because that is really the only way we're going to get Hollywood to continue to change into a place that will respect their fans and give us movies that are actually, I know, crazy, but have good stories and good characters and stuff. So, with that being said, those are just kind of my general thoughts on this whole poll thing. I do want to hear your comments or your thoughts about it in the comments below, so please let me know. Subscribe to this channel, Geeks and Gamers, as well. I'd appreciate that. And then go subscribe to my personal channel, Josiah Rises. I'd appreciate that as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you all very soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye.